Okay, so just been reading this book, Natives by Akala, Race and Class in the Ruins of Empire. Fantastic book, very powerful, part biography, part polemic. Had to look up what the word polemic meant, which means an attack and a rant. Fantastic, really gets to depths with his own experience about race and actually also class, which you see is very much bound up with the whole idea of keeping power in certain structures. But the idea of race and how that is institutionalized in Britain is fantastic, because I think so often we just get through life in Britain without actually seeing that. Fantastic book. I really can't, there's so much packed into this little book. I would definitely, it's not just his own experience, it's the experience of other people.
Go back to the room.
The experience of other people with this. Some things that I didn't know anything about. Cuba, apparently, it talks about Cuba and South Africa as well. Cuba sent 400,000 troops apparently to Angola to help the Angolans defeat the occupying South African forces. And it was Cuba that really helped to end apartheid. And it was Cuba that was the first country that Mandela went to visit after his release. And that was really because Cuba had a huge part in ending apartheid. Normally the way that we're sold apartheid is that, you know, it was a triumph of good against evil, and Mandela forgave everybody, and, you know, everybody got back then together and it was all wonderful, it was all about peace and love. That's bullshit according to this. People had to be dragged, forced, and I'm including this British government, had to be dragged, kicking and screaming to end apartheid. He also talked about Cuba, whereas on the one hand we love Mandela, but people in the West tend to hate Fidel Castro, and yet there's such amazing things that Cuba have done. Cuba's healthcare is just one of them. It's absolutely fantastic. Apparently there's one doctor for every 167 people. One doctor for every 167 people in Cuba. And Cuba is one of these countries that was instrumental in sending doctors all over the place. And I know for a fact that when the earthquake disaster happened in Pakistan in 2005, Cuba sent at least 100 doctors over, maybe even more, but 100 doctors that I knew about. And I always wondered why Cuba was sending these doctors. Is because the way that they've trained these doctors is just incredible, and they've got an amazing healthcare system, but it's also battling against sanctions from the United States, which is doing everything it can to make sure that Cuba is strangled and never gets a chance to flourish as a country. But this book was fantastic about that, and it really leaves you on a note that, for example, by 2050, 30% of people in the UK are going to be of ethnic origin. So their parents are going to be from like Nigeria, Pakistan, India, the Middle East, all sorts of places. Not even counting the far, Eastern Europe. What's that going to mean? What's that going to mean for people? How is it going to change the way we even look at history? How we look at historical figures? And he does talk about it. He talks about people like Churchill, who are revered by people or who have been revered by people in Britain in the past, but who now are seen by people as really quite, almost like maniacs. People like Columbus, who was a rapist and a serial killer, but we never get to hear about that. And it's just, anyway, this book I think is fantastic. It's very powerful. Even if you don't agree with what he says, it's a book you really have to read. Very changing in terms of opinions and the way you look at the world. So that's Natives, Race and Class in the Ruins of Empire. Very much recommend this. I'll give it at least a 7 or an 8 out of 10.